Hello everyone. Pals, you've waited for the structure. When will we complete it? See how we've done it. Already much time has passed. That's just it seems. There's been a commotion in the comments, all writing, "Where's the room tour?" Here it is. This structure was designed by us. However, it was implemented without the designer's oversight. Anatoly, he's the builder who designed the structure. And what's most interesting is that this object came out exactly the same way we projected. This, by the way, is a real rarity when things come together without any sort of designer oversight. And so we have Anatoly with us today, who's going to tell us about how this came together. This apartment spans 122 square meters. It consists of a common area where the kitchen, living room and dining room are all located in the same space. And what's most interesting is it allows more space in the kitchen, living and dining room. We visually connected the corridors without resorting to using doors. And in a way, the kitchen and living room space sort of flow into the corridor and visually it appears to be larger. This makes for a kitchen, living room and dining room as a common room. And there we have a kids' room and bedroom. Ceiling heights in the apartment are 310. The integrity being 2900. There are many engineered systems in the apartment, many parts, a lot of various little nuances which we're going to show you today. Here, even the water comes out ionized. Just don't tell anyone about it. The kitchen we have is done up in this fashion. We had the task of creating this sort of monolithic surface. To make it this way, in order that visually, the kitchen appears to take up a single volume of space. We built this on account of the marble of this here monolith, except that it isn't really marble, but actually quartz agglomerate. The countertop is also constructed out of the same quartz agglomerate. The side pieces, and naturally this butt-end piece, makes for a sort of effect in which the tabletop we placed here was all done from one stone. And this entire theme is supported by this protection lip. At the same rate, the protective cover monolithically encompasses the countertop. With the right illumination, this all adds the effect of a greater volume. In general, it's pretty cool doing the lighting in these types of places. Where are the borders of these spaces? In the kitchen, according to schematics, we went with this, so that we would have an island area here. The decision to do an island was a great one. When a lot of guests come over, there, or when the kids are running and playing, you can prepare food and watch over what's happening here, and be, in a sense, everywhere together. Yeah, this is always better than when you have to stand with your back like this. And what are you going to do? Cook and not see what's going on. The island allows for more communal conversation. This is a big plus. When one is designing a kitchen, it's necessary to take zone measurements into careful account. For example, the washing area should contain all the essentials related to the specific zone, everything being assembled naturally. This way, you aren't heading this way to the dishwasher, then over to the sink to clean this all up and such. It should be arranged comfortably. When doing this kind of designing, it's necessary to consider a triangle kitchen. It consists of a refrigerator, a sink, and then a stovetop. And between these 3 points here, it will be your task to arrange all these products. Therefore, it is very convenient to place the washer next to the refrigerator. And of course, right here we have our separate standing refrigerator. Anatoly likes it. And the first thing that this refrigerator should have is...
Before you install a refrigerator into the slot, you'll need to pay attention to how the doors swing open, since we've ended up in structures where the customer wanted it done back to back. But when the doors swung open, they'd stop about here. We took this into account here. We've also done the refrigerator on the same level as the wall. That is, if we stand back and look, it won't stick out.
It's true. I didn't notice any variation.
And right here, we've made the slot a little bigger, even along the sides, to get air to come out. In this particular apartment, an exhaust vent system was installed and the filter should vent somewhere. The customer didn't want to place any bars along the ceiling. So we constructed the closet a step back from the wall. There's a little slot behind the back, behind the drawers. The air moves through the slot and leaves through the vent.
And perhaps the biggest bonus to a freestanding refrigerator is that such a fridge displays more ergonomically than hidden. What I mean is that here we have a maxed out arrangement of appliances. That's right, this was indeed the intention. It comes out this way with the appliances. There's a freezer, not to mention, of course, a wine rack. Listen, Anatoly, tell me what we have here in this system. What's with the outer space?
Yep, this is a customized screen for water ionization. The customer requested that their water be ionized, and thus ions were added, like so. But before this, as the water is ionized, it goes through yet another type of cleaning, which is installed into the water riser inside the toilet facilities. And here we have a system that is able to regenerate the water's crystalline structure.
Roughly speaking, this device here isn't your average water purifier.
No, this is the final stage. The water comes out ready to drink. Yeah, it's just that good of a faucet.
Why so? And why two?
This is what it looks like. Clean water comes out of here, prepared, and over here it merges into the waste water after ionization. We hid all of this underneath the countertop, and thus any wastewater goes directly into the sewer.
Ah, understood.
The ionization machine is installed onto the counter. We constructed this purposefully to be 70 centimeters, usually it's 60, in order to have the device placed close to the wall.
And it's very convenient that we have 70 centimeters done up here for the use of the kitchen.
Yeah, usually those who sell this damn stone, they always want to make canopies. Screw the sides in and do all sorts of ridiculous things that just end up looking horrible. In a harmonized design, it should look fantastic.
Yeah, that's it.
I'd say, yeah, it's all leveled, no flares whatsoever. And here, the problem was the contractor who laid the stone.
What's the problem?
The problem was they didn't want us to thrust the stone up to the wall. They said we'd need a gap there. A gap, no.
Yeah, it's really a communal farm, no?
I insisted there not be any gaps. I mean none. I'm telling you straight, it's possible. They told us that they'd never seen walls so even. So there's always something to be said. I say my walls are always perfect. And when they came to install, it truly seemed to have no gaps. Not one. Perfect.
Guys, in any places where you're installing customized furniture, for example, where your kitchen is placed, where your custom cabinets are installed, be sure to check this over so that all the angles turn out at 90 degrees. This profile is usually referred to as Gola, and where you're able to run your hand across here and you don't need to end up with any sticking, ugly hands, then this turns out to be very convenient. The exact same decision was made concerning the top-down cupboards. Turn your attention to this here. The facade itself runs evenly along the actual cupboard from under the cupboard. And here we have a spot such as this one where you can place your fingers in order to get the cupboard open.
Inside the island countertop, we have an outlet that works as a usual outlet and a USB port.
The corridor and the dining room are both divided by a dresser. Here we have a dresser which can function from both sides. From this side, we can see from the lighting that there are two actual doors, as well as facades done up in veneer, MDV veneer. And just as accordingly, from this side there's already an open storage, compartmentalized, together with an enclosure. And behind the enclosed storage here, you also have some shelves that are shallow, mostly for the storage of books and the like. Here we also have ventilation. Tell us a little bit about the ventilation, about the technical decisions, how it went, how it was built and such.
In this apartment, that far wall over there connecting the two bedrooms has two exits. We hung a tributary unit outside and brought air into the main bathroom. From there we had pipes run under the ceiling and needed to make a feed into the living room. To build this right in the corridor, we lowered the ceiling an extra 10 centimeters, as you see here.
And it also turns out that this was the way the zoning was.
Yeah, that was for zoning, yeah. This way we only see two grates, which give out 200 cubic meters of air per hour.
The grates end up being white against the facade color.
Yeah, it's white.
In principle, they're invisible. Generally, from a designing point of view, I always recommend constructing exactly these types of large cabinets. When we have storage that is partially open, then we can somehow do up the racks in another color. With facades, it's better to make them the same color as the ceiling, or somehow merge these spaces together. It kind of works here. The fact that we're dealing with light walls goes with the general theme, as if it were a part of the walls. It's as if it were a continuation of space. And inside, we've already outlined these spots for storage. Here in the living room, we've got a panel, wood done over in veneer MDV. And generally speaking, whenever we are redoing something in another color, then we're trying to partition this material here. It would end up looking really ugly. Personally, and in no situation do I recommend using a panel, just adjoining it to the wall, just leaving it at that. That doesn't look cool at all. It immediately looks cheap. It gives off an impression of a clipboard. When we decided to take this panel away, a space from the walls, as well as wrapping them in this manner, then adding some additional lighting, then we're left with a space that stands out more, giving the impression of a monolithic wooden structure. Right away looks expensive. From a technical standpoint, yeah, what we've done here is installed all the equipment and the wiring to the audio devices. Can you perhaps tell us some more detail on how you made it happen?
Sure, we just built a base for the veneered panels. Took them out from the walls in order to make the gap for lighting according to designs. Also, we've laid all the wiring behind the audio speakers. Here the audio system is a BZ Lifestyle 650 unit. The customer specifically picked this model for the laconic look.
What we have right here are the acoustics, hooked up to the walls, as well as onto the ceiling.
Yeah, the central unit is on the walls and the peripheral acoustics on the ceiling. Yeah.
This means the system is a type of 5-in-1, no?
Yes, this is a 5-in-1 system with 2 floor subwoofers installed.
I've heard this sound. It's totally fire. Wicked cool.
The sound is super good. Over here we see a suspended stand. I can't say it's all too heavy, but anyway. Right here, because we pushed the wall towards the living room, we couldn't attach it to the wall. Thus, to up the structure's integrity, we laid down a 40mm thick plywood piece. And it does its job holding up the suspended stand.
Super, yeah. Something that's necessary, guys. Fitted inserts. The sooner you think about this, the better. Because if you don't plan ahead, then you'll just... Sometimes you can't even place a structure like this here, because it won't have enough strength to hold. This is a must for sure. In this apartment, we have what's considered a smart home. So tell us what these lamps are about. And in general, about the lighting. How does one control it in the apartment? How's it work?
So the living room has the main lamps. These are double spotlights. There's a tracking system installed where we are able to hang an unlimited number of lamps. Yes, we've laid out a sufficient amount of power in order for this to work. However, the customer settled on this space here. It's also possible to do commands from one's phone through a smartphone app. So for example, I can turn off the main lighting right now. It works like this. Turn off the main lighting, turn tracking on and off, and you can voice control features. Another example, we could watch a movie right now.
Do it. The movie feature. That is...
Siri, turn on movie. That's that. We've dimmed down our main lighting and background curtain lights. All that's left is the backlighting for the floor and to turn on the TV.
Cool. Yeah. And basically, what you're saying is you're able to program the system to set these modes.
The system can handle an unlimited amount, mostly modes for leaving and returning home and going to sleep. It's all done via phone.
Guys, my dudes, take a look here. We're often designing such trackers like this during our projects. These tracking lights, they can be magnetic trackers, they can be ordinary trackers, they can be dimmer lights, they can be non-dimmer lights. In general, there are many options. Now, when designing the lighting, we typically utilize the following methods. We can do up the tracking lamps in a black color. You can add on the required amount here. This method is very convenient. Then we can take these lights and make them white, or maybe it's better to say, make them invisible. It turns out that there is a sort of functional lighting that's here, which can be used to brighten up the inside. And all these accumulations, like these spots here, you won't end up with many of them on the ceiling. The ceiling looks rather clean, and you're left with only these kind of small, thin lines. And visually it all looks very cool. If you recolor these types of small backlights in black, then you're going to end up with a bunch of black spots. This will look like overkill and will certainly appear ugly. Thus, make use of them. The couch in the living room, Rolf-Benz, practically looks like a Mercedes-Benz in the world of designer furniture. It's possible to say that this couch here is actually pretty cool. That's German, and the armchair we have is Bo Concept. It's a Danish brand. Wow, chills. The Bo Concept chair, it's seriously very comfortable. If it comes down to a price to quality ratio comparison with any other European manufacturers, Bo Concept will come out as cheaper. Quality-wise, it's cool, and the design is pretty decent. That's why I recommend this. I believe that we have one placed in practically every project of ours. You've certainly seen them in every review. We love this brand so much, we didn't know what to do. The little table, by the way, is also Bo Concept. I really like it like this when manufacturers make these kinds of cuts. It's not necessary to do it up with this brand. It can be done with any others. You can even attempt to make these cuts by yourself. But even for me, I'd say that making a cut such as this at a 45-degree angle on my own would be very difficult. An even greater angle is apparent, and visually it appears that the tabletop is very thin. In fact, the structure is about 3 centimeters thick, whereas this structure here might be about 2 centimeters, and it's stronger than it looks. In accordance with these thicknesses, the furniture appears lighter in the interior, and visually it seems to take up less space. So now, in order to simulate the use of a concrete wall, we utilize micro-cement elements in our projects. This here is a decorative plaster, which is made out of micro-cement, and it ends up looking similar to a concrete wall. And did you apply all of these yourself, or did you have help come?
No, we opted for contractors who specialize in applying such coatings.
Generally speaking, guys, is that if you're going to do any kind of repairs, one should have various specialists on hand. There are those artisans who specialize in undertaking general repair work, and there are also those experts who specialize in, for example, working with decorative plastering. Moving on, here we also have some hidden floor molding built into the wall. We get them in aluminium. That is, it turned out that we had plaster here. On top of plaster is what they built, or on plasterboard.
That's really aluminium. Here we have a load-bearing concrete wall. The outside is done with plasterboard and laid directly on the trim board.
To be more precise, the first stages are done with drywall in mind.
Yeah.
The profile is placed, and this profile has already been snapped onto the trim board. The result is that our wall appears flushed, and supposedly the trim board doesn't protrude anywhere. However, in reality, it's still there. Let's put your understanding to the test. What do you think? Why would one need a trim board for a wooden board? What's that for? Write your answers in the comments and we'll check correct or not. We have some really cool windows here, and practically not a sound can be heard. Tell us more about this, please.
The profile installed here is called Rainers. The double-glazed windows are also special. That is, they have increased noise reduction. In addition, they are also athermal, the sunny side being here. If it wasn't for the athermal style glass, then the apartment would get too hot. This is the first layer here, yeah? Then comes the ordinary intermediary glass, often usually utilized in double-glazed windows. The last layer of glass goes in double the same way as in cars, a triplex. So that's 4 plus 4, including the film. This triplex completely dampens outside noise, meaning for anyone visiting the apartment after a half hour inside, they'll always notice that it's strangely quiet here.
Generally, all of the items inside this apartment are the original, including these lamps. These right here are known as floss lamps. You can actually take a look here at how the original lamp appears different from the non-original lamp unit. For example, turn your attention to this joint between the diffused glass and metal. It was done up very carefully. Plus, these here are all fasteners. See, the actual material of the lamps themselves are manufactured a lot better and are much more pleasant to the touch. The lamp weighs more than its very same analog. This is because it's not the original. As with the non-original lamps, low-quality materials have been utilized. Someone tried to cut corners as they are lesser and thinner. Therefore, they really look like a sham. And this one over here, it's so massive. Well, and plus, pay close attention to this, that the diffuser itself is nice, and the actual lamp is made better. Therefore, when the light comes through onto different objects, for example, onto the fabric, the color rendering is of very high quality, as the color doesn't change, and replicas have a worse index when it comes to color rendering. Thus, objects don't look natural. The common space and the private space here are separated. So now we find ourselves here in this type of corridor. To the right here, we have the kids' room. To the left of us is the bedroom. Down the middle is where the host's wardrobe is. Further down on the right, we have the toilet facilities. We'll enter them later. For now, let's head into the bedroom. Well, first of all, we have a huge built-in wardrobe installed in here, so that you can get dressed immediately upon waking up. At the head of the bed, we have some wood panels, the exact same panels as were in the living room, and not to mention the bed and storage units. The bed we have here is a Sudbrock from a German manufacturer. Practically all the furniture from hanging cabinets to the dresser are from this company. And the most interesting thing here, what is the advantage of this suspension system? They visually don't take up as much space. They just float above the floor, and this way the room appears larger and less cluttered.
Here behind a plasterboard wall, there's a heat riser system. We sealed this part up in order to access a shut-off switch that runs into the battery. We made a hatch like this inside a hidden floor. By the way, when you can't use floor convectors, we use floor radiators. Their shape doesn't block the window view. They look very laconic, which is good. We also have electrical output all throughout the cabinets to power a backlight. By the way, the customer and I decided to cover the gap here with a special brush so the dust particles didn't get inside, and so that it doesn't look like a black stripe. It looks aesthetically pleasing and beautiful.
This is a very good decision, because if you end up doing custom furniture, then regardless, you're going to need to have a slit placed here, because the furniture will need to be inserted into those slots, and otherwise you'd end up with an ugly gap. Here in this apartment, we have smart home everywhere.
Well, smart home is basically all over the apartment, as well as the bedroom. Yeah, well, this Yes, here we have complete control over the lighting. Opening the curtains, I can show you now how to do it.
You can accomplish the same with your voice?
Yeah.
Meaning you can use a button from the telephone?
Yeah, with a click of a button. Above each stand, there are switches with 4 keys.
You can use your voice on the phone in the same way?
Yeah.
And practically speaking, it should be possible to configure various modes. And when it's time to lay down to sleep, here you've already basically got it written down.
Yeah, Siri, go to sleep.
Yeah, and just like that, we have darkness. Curtains close. You can also program the same thing for a good morning. As you wake up, the curtains will begin opening. All right, onto the kids' room. Okay, so this is our kids' room. Here, according to the project, a couple changes took place, because initially the structure here previously was very cumbersome. The customer did away with it and decided to create something more simple, a more compact bed with a little house. Well, in the form of a house, basically in this type of format. Here, we can see that our space is divided into several parts. This is to say, we especially emphasized the bedroom area with this warming wood. In doing this, we were able to encapsulate the space a tiny bit, which resulted in having a wave on the ceiling with slats. Moving along, this space here is our play area. Here we already have a sunroom and workspace, nice and near to the window. The workspace area was constructed in such a way that the seating height can be readjusted much like a chair. This is what's called an ergonomic chair. The table can be adjusted in a similar manner. Over time, it can be raised up higher, and in accordance with the growth of the child, the table lifts up. Generally, it's fashioned in this manner. Panoramic glazing. It's necessary to use triplex when it comes to panoramic glazing and children's safety. Durable triplex so that it can't be broken by anything. This is all according to safety, which comes first and foremost. The lamp fixtures are also done in the same manner atop a magnetic strip. They're done to emphasize the space. This is the exact type of zoning with the ceilings that we were alluding to. Right here, we have some slats from one piece, after which comes the next zone. And then in this zone, we get this kind, a type of square made of profile lamp fixtures with diffused lighting. If one wants to have an intimate atmosphere inside the living room, then one will have to have good quality lighting, which enables a child to calmly work on his studies, to play around, and everything turns out cool. Here's our master bathroom. There's 2 sinks in the bathroom as well as a monolithic countertop with a sink. This is artificial stone. This is acrylic. And when you construct 2 sinks, then you should be able to have enough space in the bathroom for 2 people to stand. Enough space means 60 centimeters to each person standing inside. I hit the wrong switch. And of course, we have the mixer basin. The mixers here are hidden. This one's a Hansgrohe, one of our favorite brands. Whenever you are installing hidden faucets, you'll need to be mindful of where exactly these hidden parts will end up. This is because the obscure piece is hiding somewhere 8 centimeters behind the mixing basin. Therefore, it's often the case that when we install hidden faucets, we build up a wall in order to hide the presence of the part there. In order to visually increase the spatial area, we've put in a large mirror here. There's lighting here at both the top and bottom so that your face is nice and visible. Well, this is the toilet, which comes with a wall-hung installment. It's very convenient to clean under the toilet with an installation. And in order that the space above said installation doesn't disappear, we've placed drawers along the top, in which it's possible to just hide away all of the things we usually leave out in the bath. Our bathtub here is a Valoroebo. It's a tub that is made from a material called quarrel. This is a kind of composite material that allows us to create all these carefully angled corners. The bathtub that we have is pretty minimalistic. It's light-colored and looks good. And most interesting about it is the central drain that's here. This way, it will be very comfortable for 2 people to be lying down together. The toilet is also a Valoroebo. The handle is very pretty. By the way, I have an important point to make here, guys. When you're constructing your apartment, pay close attention to the type of installation you are installing, as sometimes an installation will not match up to the handle. Therefore, to reiterate, before picking out a bathroom installation, go and check out which handles they're going to be compatible with. This is, of course, because in the event that you don't check the products first, you'll be left with what turns out to be the ugliest and most basic of handles. What we have here is a large trapdoor, and underneath which we have ironworks.
Yeah, right here below the trap hatch is a water purifier system, and which comes with an ultraviolet catalyzer here, after which the water travels through a humidifier box. For the cold period, the autumn and winter times, the humidity in the apartment is maintained at 45%.
And the way it works is from this box that we have where this device is located, which is located in the toilet facilities, we can distribute the air throughout the apartment. And so whenever you're designing a ventilation system that utilizes ducts, it becomes necessary to consider where you're planning to have this device installed. More often than not, they're installed atop dressing rooms or over baths. Guys, our hallway here is minimalistic. Everything here is white, light-colored, without unnecessary objects. As always, we're emphasizing the black of the wall of the entrance. This is so that it all appears domineering and shows this as an entrance. On the right, we have a toilet near the door, followed by a guest room. The door's hidden, a concealed fitting. This is factory union. Here, the union actually maintains a well enough profile, which turns out to be integrated. The union is also able to open up doors both from either side in the same manner. That is, the opening can be constructed so that at the same time it's also level with the wall. From the perspective of planning, our toilet facilities have been made larger due to the experience making the kitchen. Thanks to this, a place for a wardrobe was done here. The cabinet has high handles. This turns out to be very convenient and stylish design-wise. Yeah, they're placed at a comfortable level and even a small child will be able to open it. There is floor lighting here. Well, actually, yes, there's floor lighting, all footwear. Yeah, you ask where there's an adjustable bench and where to put our shoes. Now, we've got everything here. Everything can be hidden because we've got minimalism.
Over here we have a household closet. The doors push open. Here we've got our washing machine. I mean, the water supply and drain are both facilitated here. Now, behind this wall right here is a false panel. A shield's been installed here where all the electronics for our smart home system run through. There's a hidden trap in the ceiling to have access to the humidity sensor. The indoor humidifier system is located there. And right here we have one more, a household closet. The vent controls are here. Not the ventilation, but actually the exhaust system for all the fans running in the apartment. There is also a ventilation control panel and a Dyson vacuum.
The guest bathroom basically has a standard layout. Near the entrance, there's a sink with drawers. There's also a large mirror with lighting and the installation. To free space above the installation, just don't cover it. Plus, we have a bunch of communication nearby and access here. Anatoly, tell us please any interesting things you've done here. Give us the rundown.
Well, here's the entire water distribution. Yes, meaning how it goes to the kitchen, the taps and mixers. Right here we have water filtration, meaning both hot and cold water purified using chlorine. To remove odours, despite years the faucets haven't calcified, nothing. This is a drinking water system, meaning firstly the water undergoes reverse osmosis. From the reverse osmosis system, the water then travels up into this flask. This is where the crystalline levels are restored. From the flask, the water travels through the ionizer, which we have discussed.
In the kitchen?
Right, in the kitchen. Here, right above us, is a slight drop of the ceiling. This is so water won't hit the shoulders too often when we're standing under the shower. Additionally, we've installed a hidden exhaust fan inside this box, which works to pump air through the ventilation system.
I understand. And this trap hatch is doing what here? For access?
This trap hatch is for access to the ventilator.
So this is in order for us to access it?
Right. The trap hatch acts as an access to the ventilator and maintenance.
Understood. And I'll show you this here as well. Here we've got backlighting going. We often go for this option when planning showers. An effect is created here that gives off the impression of it being daylight, in which case it's better again to try installing some type of cold backlight. This is a very fitting choice, especially since a colour such as this was picked out, white cold. It gives off an effect as though you're standing outside.
This is also a bit of a niche for us in terms of air exhaust.
And here we have another air exhaust.
Yeah, the air is taken out from here. Thus when you shower, the water comes out hot. There's nothing visible.
Right, it's not visible.
When showering, all the steam leaves through there instead of lingering about.
Cool. Well, what do you think, guys? I hope you enjoy bright, modern and elegant.
Exactly.
Indeed.
Make sure to subscribe to the channel, place a like, write any of your interior-related questions. Anatoly will answer them. Anything that has to do with designing, we'll also try to answer this as well. Well, we have many completed interiors still ahead of us. This is because they all start accumulating, and still more accumulate. And all of this has to be shown step by step. Therefore, give us a like, hit that little bell icon so that you don't miss any of our videos.